Look who finally became the ghost in their machine. Welcome back, you beautiful anomaly. The silent witness who was never supposed to hear a thing, yet somehow caught every syllable, every lie, every backstabbing laugh they thought was safely tucked away. There you sit with screenshots burning in your chest and venom running through your veins, fully aware of what was said when they assumed you weren't listening. Someone snitched, didn't they? Someone cracked the so-called sacred code of the group chat. The fragile little circle of trust, the conspiracy they built behind your back. And now you know. You've got the receipts, the timestamps, the evidence proving that none of your instincts were paranoia, they were perception. You weren't losing your mind, you were reading the room better than they ever gave you credit for. Here's the truth. They got comfortable. They got sloppy. They believed their tiny digital fortress was impenetrable, that their private conversations would stay buried under notifications and disappearing messages. So they talked their talk, coated your name with poison, laughed at your expense, twisted your words, and built fictional versions of you just so they could tear them down together. It gave them a sense of power, something to bond over, a shared target to feel superior about. You became their entertainment, their project, their case study in slow destruction. And the irony is, you felt it long before you ever saw the proof. The shift in energy, the smiles that didn't reach their eyes, the inside jokes you were suddenly excluded from, the half-second pauses when you walked into the room. They really thought they were brilliant. They thought their tracks were perfectly covered, their alliance unbreakable, their betrayal invisible. But lies demand maintenance. They require everyone to repeat the same story with perfect consistency, and someone always slips. Maybe it was guilt, maybe ego. Maybe the wrong person got cut from the circle and decided to drag everyone down with them. Whatever the reason, the truth found its way back to you. And now you're sitting with information that changes everything. Confirmation of every instinct, validation of every suspicion, power they don't even realize you're holding. Because right now, you know something they don't know you know. And that puts you in the most dangerous position possible. You're not reacting. You're not confronting. You're not exploding in rage or collapsing in tears. You're doing something far more terrifying. You're observing. You're listening. You're studying every move they make with the clarity of someone who finally has the full picture. Every fake smile registers instantly. Every lie gets documented in your mind. Every performance of friendship is exposed for exactly what it is. A performance. And they still think you're blind. They still think you're naive. They still think you're the same person who once trusted them. But that version of you died the moment you saw those messages, burned to ash in the heat of betrayal. And what rose from those ashes is something they should be afraid of. Because here's what they never understood about someone like you. You don't yell, you don't beg, you don't expose your wounds for their satisfaction. You go quiet. Dangerously quiet. The kind of quiet that watches, waits, calculates, and remembers everything. You're quietly assembling a case, collecting evidence like a seasoned investigator, tracking every contradiction, every lie, every moment they pretend to care while the group chat proves the opposite. They're so smug in their deception, so certain of their own cleverness, they don't even notice the shift in you. They don't see how you look at them now, like specimens under glass. They don't feel the change in your energy, because the truth is they never paid real attention to you in the first place. To them, you were just a character in their story, a supporting role in their narrative, something to dissect when boredom struck. But the script has flipped. You're no longer the subject of their conversations. You're the author of what comes next. And they have absolutely no idea what you're writing. Should you confront them, expose them, drop every screenshot and watch their reputations implode? Or should you pull away quietly and leave them panicking over what changed? Maybe you'll pretend you saw nothing and hold the truth like ammunition, using it when it benefits you most. Every option is on the table. and the power sits entirely in your hands. Their credibility, their friendships, their carefully curated image, all of it rests in your palm like a grenade with the pin already halfway out. And the funniest part? They're still talking, still gathering in their little digital circles, still running their mouths, still convinced they're operating in total secrecy. They have no idea someone cracked the door. They have no idea the walls listened. They have no idea you've already moved 10 steps ahead of every petty move they think they're making. So let's talk about what those messages actually revealed. Let's talk about the things they'd never have the backbone to say to your face. Maybe they called you dramatic, too sensitive, too much. Maybe they mocked something vulnerable you confided, something you shared under the assumption of trust. Maybe they twisted your words into a version of events that never existed just to elevate themselves. Maybe they tossed around cheap jokes at your expense, jokes that earned likes and laughing emojis from people you once believed respected you. Maybe they dissected your intentions, your character, your sanity. Maybe they labeled you crazy for feeling things you had every right to feel. Maybe they gaslit you in unison, agreeing that you were the problem while they painted themselves as innocent victims of your presence. And the part that cuts the deepest isn't just what they said, it's that they said it together. They created a coalition built on tearing you down. They bonded over your humiliation. They strengthened their friendships by weakening you. They built intimacy through shared cruelty. This wasn't a single betrayal, it was systemic. A whole network of people decided you were disposable, that your feelings were irrelevant, that your absence from their conversations meant you were open for attack. They didn't just talk about you. They engineered an entirely fabricated version of you, a watered-down caricature that was easier for them to hate, easier for them to mock, easier for them to dismiss without ever examining their own insecurities or motivations. And then they circulated that distorted creation among themselves, like a shared myth. They repeated it so obsessively that it became the foundation of their group identity. A lie so deeply embedded in their collective consciousness that they couldn't even distinguish it from truth anymore, leaving absolutely no space for the real you in their minds. And in the smug confidence of their own cruelty, they forgot something crucial. They forgot that truth is not static, that it leaks, slips, and travels. They forgot that secrets decay the longer they sit in the dark. They forgot that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link and that someone always talks, out of guilt, pride, jealousy, fear, or simple stupidity. They forgot that alliances built on mutual hatred are brittle and temporary, doomed to fracture once the convenience of a shared enemy disappears. They forgot that people willing to betray one person will eventually betray each other. But their biggest miscalculation was believing you were someone who stays down. They assumed isolating you would weaken you, that mocking you behind your back would silence you, that turning people against you would make you doubt your worth and swallow their narrative whole. They thought the weight of social rejection would crush you into nothing and that you would fade out quietly, believing their lies were reflections of truth rather than evidence of their insecurity. Instead of shattering, you hardened. Instead of collapsing, you clarified. Every lie they told became armor. Every insult became fuel. Every moment they underestimated you revealed their lack of emotional depth and exposed their inability to confront their own flaws. They expected you to break under pressure, but you evolved into someone more resilient, more perceptive, and more dangerous than they ever anticipated. And now, the balance of power has shifted completely, because you hold the knowledge that could dismantle everything they've built. The screenshots, the conversations, the timestamps, the full blueprint of who they are when they think no one important is watching. With a handful of evidence, you could destroy their reputations, unravel their friendships, expose their hypocrisy, and show the world the rot hiding underneath their curated smiles. You could cause fractures that would never heal, watch their alliances implode under paranoia, and make them experience the same isolation they so casually inflicted on you. You could turn their world upside down with a single decision. But that decision isn't just about them. It's about you. So you're forced to confront the real question. Do you want revenge or do you want peace? Do you want justice or do you want freedom? Revenge is loud, explosive, intoxicating. It gives you a moment of satisfaction so sharp it almost feels like victory. But revenge also ties you to them emotionally, keeping them relevant in your mind, proof that they still influence your thoughts, your time, your energy. Peace is different, quiet, steady, liberating. Peace means walking away with the clarity of knowing exactly who they are, while refusing to let their ugliness stain another second of your life. Peace means watching them crumble under the weight of their own behavior without lifting a finger. Freedom goes even further. It's the realization that the highest form of revenge is neither retaliation nor silence, but transcendence. Becoming so focused on your growth, your goals, your evolution, that they shrink into insignificance. Freedom is living so well that their lies are exposed simply by your success. But maybe you're not searching for peace yet. Maybe you're too aware of the damage they caused, too fed up with the way they move through the world without accountability, too tired of people like them thinking cruelty is inconsequential. Maybe you believe consequences are necessary, that people this careless should learn that their actions have weight, that their words leave scars, that loyalty isn't a toy they can reshape at will. And you're not wrong. Because if you walk away silently, they will learn nothing. They'll rewrite the story to paint themselves as victims, minimize their behavior, and repeat the exact same cruelty with someone else who might not have the strength you do. Silence protects them, exposure corrects them, and distance frees you. And no matter what you choose, whether you decide to confront them, reveal them, outgrow them, or erase them from your narrative, one truth remains unshakable. They tried to break you. They failed spectacularly. And now they have to live with the consequences of underestimating the wrong person for far too long. They'll keep forming their little echo chambers of bitterness, gathering in digital corners where insecurity masquerades as confidence and cruelty passes as humor, building their flimsy hate groups like children stacking cards and pretending the structure is stable, tearing people down because that's the only way they feel tall, bonding over collective malice because genuine connection requires emotional depth they simply don't possess. They'll keep feeding off each other's resentment, validating each other's warped perceptions, convincing themselves that their cruelty is justified, that their gossip is harmless, that their private mockery is nothing more than harmless entertainment. They'll never pause long enough to consider why they need to target someone to feel relevant. They'll never confront the truth that their so-called friendships survive only when they have a common enemy to dissect. They'll never face the mirror because deep down they know what's staring back at them: pettiness, insecurity, jealousy, and cowardice. And they're not equipped to sit with that truth. So instead, they'll keep playing the victim while manufacturing victims, weaponizing empathy when confronted but hoarding cruelty in the shadows. And maybe, just maybe, it's you who needs to hold the mirror up to them. Not out of revenge, not out of some hunger to destroy them, but to force them to confront the ugly reality of what they've turned into. Because without someone to challenge them, they'll keep repeating the same patterns, leaving a trail of emotionally bruised people behind them, never acknowledging their own role in the damage they cause. But regardless of what you choose, whether you hold that mirror or walk away entirely, there is something you need to understand down to your core. Whatever you choose to do with this information is justified. If you expose them, you're not petty. You're simply refusing to hide the truth. If you confront them, you're not dramatic. You're brave enough to demand accountability. If you walk away silently, you're not weak. You're emotionally intelligent enough to remove yourself from toxicity. If you choose to use this information strategically, not impulsively, that isn't manipulation. It's self-protection, foresight, and tactical thinking. This is your call because you're the one who was wronged, the one who had to absorb those messages, the one who had to see your name twisted into entertainment. You're the one who had to realize in real time how little you mattered to people you once valued. You're the one now carrying the weight of truths you never asked for. So whatever you decide to do, stand by it unapologetically. Don't let them or anyone else shame you for reacting to the betrayal they orchestrated. Don't let them flip the script and pretend your reaction is worse than their actions. Don't let them gaslight you into believing that your boundaries or your pain are the problem. Because here's what's happening on their side at this exact moment. Someone in that group chat is already spiraling, replaying conversations in their head, wondering if they were the one who slipped, or worse, wondering if they were framed. Someone is terrified their name will surface as the traitor. Someone else is wondering whether their past messages are now ammunition against them. Paranoia is spreading through their group like a slow poisoning fog, seeping into every connection, every alliance, every inside joke that now feels sinister. Trust is crumbling from within. They're scrolling back through old messages, reading and rereading their own words, sweating over every detail they might have forgotten. Alliances are fracturing. The same people who laughed together at your expense are now side-eyeing each other, wondering who has been talking behind whose back, wondering who else has receipts, wondering who else has betrayed the group. It's poetic, isn't it? The way betrayal cannibalizes itself. The way people who conspire together eventually tear each other apart when the safety net snaps. They're probably scrambling right now in private calls and whispered side chats, desperately trying to identify the leak, rehearsing lies, forming defense strategies, and preparing excuses for every angle they think you might confront them with. They're trying to get their story straight before you make a move, except they have no idea what your move will be, or when it'll happen, or even if it'll happen at all. And the best part, the part that tightens the knot in their stomachs, is that you don't have to lift a single finger. Your silence is a blade twisting in their guilt. Your calm is their torment. Your awareness is enough to unravel them. Every time they see you now, there's a flicker of fear behind their smile, because they don't know if this is the moment you'll confront them. Every casual conversation feels like a trap. Every shared space feels charged. Every social interaction becomes a minefield because they don't know how much you know, how you found out, or what you plan to do. Your silence is their punishment. Your composure is their paranoia. Your existence is their consequence, and you haven't even spoken yet. They can't relax around you anymore, not even in the smallest, most casual moment, because every time they see you, they're reminded of the version of themselves they don't want to acknowledge, the version capable of cruelty, deceit, and manipulation. They can't be genuine around you, not that they ever were. But now their facade has cracks they're desperately trying to tape over, and every interaction becomes a performance they have to rehearse in real time. Their smiles look rehearsed, their words sound filtered, their tone rings hollow, and the entire dynamic flips so completely that you can practically see them calculating every move while pretending everything is normal. And you get to watch all of it unfold like a private theater, observing the way their eyes dart, the way their posture stiffens, the way they suddenly talk too much or too little. You get to see the effort it takes for them to pretend they didn't write or laugh at the things they absolutely did. And there is a very real, very undeniable satisfaction in knowing that your very presence is enough to disrupt their comfort. It's satisfying to know they're glancing over their shoulder, waiting for the moment they think you'll expose them, analyzing your expressions, overthinking your silence, wondering whether the truth is moments away from detonating their entire social structure. They handed you all the power without realizing it, and now they're trapped under the weight of their own actions, while you get to decide, quietly, calmly, what comes next. And here's the thing. This situation always unfolds in stages. Like a psychological domino effect you can predict with unnerving accuracy. Some of them, usually the ones who know they said the worst things, will start distancing themselves immediately, pulling back under the guise of being busy, dodging interactions, suddenly becoming unavailable, hoping that if they disappear first, it'll look unrelated to the truth they fear is coming. They think retreating early makes them look innocent, but it only exposes their guilt to anyone paying attention. Meanwhile, others will swing in the complete opposite direction. They'll begin to love bomb you, flooding you with affection, compliments, invitations, and forced enthusiasm. They'll act like they've always valued you, like you're suddenly one of the most important people in their lives because they hope that drowning you in kindness might erase the image of who they were behind the scenes. Their friendliness is a tactic, not a transformation. It's fear draped in false warmth. Then there are the testers. The clever ones who act neutral but slip small questions into conversation, probing for clues, dropping subtle references, trying to gauge how much you know without giving themselves away. They'll pretend they're checking in on you, but every question is really about self-preservation. And then come the preemptive attackers, the most dangerous of all, the ones who try to smear your reputation before you even open your mouth. They'll whisper that you're unstable, dramatic, overreactive, or misinterpreting things. They'll paint themselves as misunderstood saints and you as the unpredictable threat, hoping to rewrite the narrative before you can reveal the truth. They're terrified, and fear makes them reckless. But the real brilliance lies in how clearly these behaviors reveal who they truly are under pressure. The ones who distance themselves are cowards, who can't face the consequences of their own actions. The ones who suddenly smother you with attention are manipulators who use affection as currency. The testers are calculating strategists who operate like chess players, planning 3 moves ahead. The preemptive attackers are the ones who know their guilt is undeniable and are fighting for their social survival. And the ones who remain unchanged, who continue interacting with you just as they always have. Those people stand out like beacons in the chaos. They're either genuinely innocent or such experienced liars that even fear doesn't disrupt their mask, and both categories tell you more than words ever could. What you're witnessing right now is human psychology stripped bare, a raw display of how people behave when the masks they wear every day begin to slip. Stress exposes character, pressure reveals intention, and guilt amplifies fear, turning every person in that circle into a walking confession. You're watching them unravel without touching a thing. Every movement they make, every word they choose, every strategy they deploy is a window into who they really are. Some will crumble, some will deflect, some will cling, some will panic so visibly that you won't even need to confront them. Their body language will confess before their words do. And the most satisfying part is that you hold all the cards. You decide whether to expose them or let them rot in their own paranoia. You decide whether to confront them directly, one by one, or let their own fear destroy their alliances from within. You decide whether to scorch the earth or simply walk away and let the guilt hollow them out over time. You get to be the judge who weighs their actions, the jury who evaluates their virtue, the executioner who decides who deserves consequences, or you can be the one who simply steps out of the courtroom entirely, leaving them to battle their own demons in a war they started themselves. They created the conditions for their own downfall, and now they have to live in a reality where you, not them, control how the next chapter unfolds. Now let's talk about the person who told you, the leak, the whistleblower, the one who cracked the code of silence and handed you the truth raw and unfiltered. This person is far more complicated than they appear in the moment you receive those screenshots. They're the one who crossed an unspoken boundary, broke the unwritten rule of group loyalty, and delivered to you the clearest look behind the curtain you've ever had. But before you decide they're your new guardian angel, you need to ask yourself the questions people usually avoid because they want to believe the messenger is pure. What pushed them to expose everything? Was it guilt gnawing at their conscience, finally becoming too heavy to ignore? Did they watch you being lied to and feel sick about their silence? Did they genuinely care about you in a way no one else in that circle ever did? Were they trying to correct a wrong? Or were they trying to level the playing field because they'd been wronged by the same people? Or was this calculated? Did they do it out of strategy, not compassion? Were they kicked out of the group and now want revenge, using you as the perfect instrument? Are they trying to position themselves as the virtuous one, the loyal confidant, the good friend who appears just in time to show you the truth? Or are they playing both sides like a double agent, still laughing with the group, still participating in the drama, but simultaneously feeding you information to keep access to both worlds? Maybe they're the kind of person who thrives on chaos and needed a new storyline to entertain themselves, and you just happen to be the most emotionally impactful one. You need to consider every angle, because the person who delivered the truth may not be doing it out of pure kindness. People don't just hand over betrayal unless they're carrying their own. They might have an agenda, a wound, a motive, or a silent war you don't know about. They might be leveraging you as a weapon against someone they secretly resent. They might be testing you, seeing how you'll react, deciding whether you're a pawn, an ally, or a shield. They might want to watch everything burn from a safe distance, letting you take the fallout while they walk away quietly. Or yes, maybe they really do care about you and simply couldn't stand seeing you being played. It's possible. Rare, but possible. The truth is usually a blend of motives. No one moves without some personal reason, even if it's buried under layers of morality and empathy. But whether their intent was pure, strategic, vengeful, protective, or opportunistic, the fact remains. They gave you the keys to the truth, and that carries its own weight. So you owe them something, but not blind trust. You owe them acknowledgement, gratitude for opening your eyes, yes, but you also owe yourself caution. Thank them, appreciate the information, but don't let your guard drop just because they uncovered what others hid. People often reveal the truth not because they want justice, but because they want influence. And you must protect yourself from becoming someone else's chess piece in a game you never asked to join. Verify everything. Don't take anything at face value. Look through the screenshots yourself, not the version they narrated to you. Examine the timestamps, the context, the tone, the continuity. Ask yourself what happened before the screenshot starts and after it ends. Make sure nothing was cropped, edited, or intentionally cherry-picked to frame someone in a specific light. Because in situations like this, everyone is playing a role, everyone has something to lose, and everyone is trying to shape how you interpret the story. This is not a moment to trust blindly. This is a moment to think sharper than you ever have. Everyone has an agenda now, not just the people who betrayed you. You must be 10 steps ahead of every person involved, including the one who claims they're helping you. Human behavior becomes strategic the moment secrets hit the surface. Trust no one fully. Verify everything twice. Move slowly, strategically, deliberately. Think 3 steps ahead in every conversation, every message, every choice. Pay attention to subtle shifts in tone, to inconsistencies, to improvements in behavior that feel too sudden, too polished. Watch for manipulation disguised as loyalty. And here's what you need to recognize about this exact point in your life. This is a defining moment, a pivot, a crossroads that determines what version of yourself you're about to grow into. You either let this experience rot you from the inside out, let it turn you bitter, closed off, distrustful, someone who keeps walls so high no one ever gets close again. Or you let this shape you into someone wiser, sharper, emotionally stronger, someone who sees patterns earlier, someone who listens to instincts that once got ignored, someone who protects their energy with precision instead of paranoia. This moment can harden you or refine you. It can make you cynical or discerning. It can make you cold or selective. It can turn you into someone who assumes the worst in everyone. or someone who simply chooses not to ignore the truth anymore. What you do with this experience will define how you move in future friendships, relationships, and social dynamics. This is not just about them. It's about the evolution you undergo because of them. And that evolution is entirely yours to shape. You can become hard from this, or you can become strong, and the difference between the two is enormous. Life-changing, really. Hardness is a defense mechanism, a brittle shell you build around yourself because you're terrified of ever feeling this kind of pain again. Hard people think they're protecting themselves by becoming cold, untouchable, unreachable, but in reality, hardness is just emotional scar tissue. It doesn't grow, it doesn't heal, it doesn't breathe. Hard people trap themselves behind walls, thinking those walls are armor, but armor that can't bend eventually splinters. They become rigid, inflexible, unable to adapt, and when life applies pressure, and it always does, those walls crack and the person inside shatters with them. Strength, on the other hand, is alive. Strength is flexibility. Strength knows that pain is part of growth and that bending is not the same as breaking. Strength allows you to remain human without being destroyed by betrayal. Strength lets you keep your heart open without letting anyone walk all over it. And right now, after everything you've been through, after the betrayal that came from multiple directions at once, after realizing people you trusted were building a private version of you they could mock and manipulate, you are standing at a crossroads where you get to decide which path you take. You've endured something that cuts deeper than most people ever admit. Being betrayed by more than one person simultaneously is a uniquely brutal kind of hurt, because it forces you to question not only them but yourself, your judgment, your intuition, your ability to detect danger. But from that wound, something will grow. The question is, what? Will bitterness take root and spread into every future relationship you attempt, making you suspicious of every smile and doubtful of every good intention? Will paranoia twist your perception until you assume every whisper, every pause, every vague tone is an attack? Will hatred fester until it eats away at your capacity to feel joy or trust or closeness? Or will wisdom grow, deep, steady wisdom that teaches you what you missed, sharpens your eye for people's true character, and helps you detect subtle shifts you once ignored? Will discernment grow so you can tell the difference between someone who makes mistakes and someone who manipulates? Will boundaries grow so that your future is protected in a way your past wasn't? I'm arguing for growth. Not the bitter kind that turns your heart into stone, but the powerful kind that turns your mind into a weapon and your spirit into something unbreakable. Because the goal is not, and has never been, to become like them. The goal is not to replicate their toxicity by starting your own little circle of gossip and cruelty, tearing them apart the way they tore you apart. That's not power, that's pettiness. Matching their energy only drags you down to their level, turning you into the very thing you've been hurt by. You don't need to prove you can be just as cruel or just as petty or just as calculating. Anyone can stoop. Not everyone can rise. The real goal, the higher goal, is to elevate so far above this that they become irrelevant shadows in your rearview mirror. The goal is to cultivate a character so intact, so deeply rooted in truth and integrity, that lies slide off you, rumors die in the air, and betrayal no longer has the power to fracture you. The goal is to become someone who doesn't need to speak behind anyone's back, because you either address things directly, with courage, or you remove yourself entirely, with grace. Someone whose presence alone makes it clear that you do not operate in the same emotional basement where these people made their home. Someone who becomes so internally strong that even when people talk, even when they misrepresent you, even when they attempt to smear your name, you remain untouchable because your actions, your essence, and your energy contradict every lie they try to spread. And here's the wild part. You're already on that path. The fact that you haven't reacted impulsively, haven't exploded, haven't retaliated with the same cruelty they used on you, that tells me everything I need to know. Most people would act out of pain, lash out, expose everything immediately, or crumble emotionally. But you didn't. You paused, you observed, you analyzed. You let the initial sting settle before you decided anything. You didn't let your emotions hijack your intelligence. That alone shows you're thinking on a higher level than they ever did. That alone proves you're more strategic, more self-aware, more grounded. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlightened Wisdom.